As a flash introduction, or better put, perhaps, a splash for first-timers to Lash's findings, the consciousness and contact talk, I would say it suffices. It's good enough. But I find an odd blend of him sometimes being too delicate and other times being a little too rapid with the various and sometimes contradictory descriptions. Now, I can follow a description like this. The Archons, they're cybernetic, insectoid, hive mind, inorganic species, just like the abiogenesis experiments conducted by Andrew Cross. You know Andrew Cross, right? Yes? No? You know, right? Andrew Cross. And in Coptic, there's in the Nag Hammadi, which uses the language Coptic, there's two words. And the first word has two translations. Scholars translate it as abortion and aborted fetus. And the other translation is a prematurely born fetus. So imagine, the spindly limbs and the big head and the bug eyes. Yeah, everybody knows that. Yeah, it's the gray. It's a description of the gray. And then they created an ego, and that was the reptile, which is the second word, Drakon. Without telling you, okay, the two words are Hu-Hey and Drakon. I mean, I can follow along pretty well. I can follow along because I'm very familiar with these descriptions. I'm intimate, privy to this knowledge. And so are you, Lash. This is things that we are. And that's another thing when you say, you punctuate with, you see, and you start off again punctuating, I could get into that as a pretty useless thing to punctuate any statement with. Telling the listener, you see? Oh, look, the leaves are all nearly fallen off the tree. You see? You see? It doesn't add anything really to the argument. But on the other hand, you're a little delicate. You made this disclaimer before you told the what I would call the story of Abraham's encounters with the Archons. You made this very delicate and careful disclaimer. What I'm about to tell you, I cannot convince you. I wouldn't try to convince you. But anyway, I can't tell you how I know this and where this comes from. It's like a very delicate, too delicate with the thing. Just get into it, man. Spit it out. And then on the other hand, too, you got up to the point where the aphid milk goes into his ear canals, and then you kind of drop. You don't really complete the narrative. It was off to a good start, but it kind of trailed off, and you jumped to, okay, so they got the first infection, and then there was the secondary infection, and the third tertiary infection. Well, in any case, I'm just going to read something I wrote here in the narrative format. Should take less than 5 minutes. Here we go. Roughly 4 millennia ago, close to the commencement of Kali Yuga and the dawn of the Age of the Ram, there lived a tribe of nomads in the land of ancient Canaan. Among those who led this group was a man called Abram, which his descendants say meant High Father. Strange, for he was yet childless. Perhaps his exaltation rose from his status as a ruthless warrior, for his tribe enjoyed raiding and pillaging, as fighting was common among the tribes of Canaan. One balmy day, feeling exhausted from the heat, Abram and his tribesmen took rest in a palm grove. Abram slept beside a tree, almost comatose, almost in a trance. A certain visitor found this opportunity to appear before him. Half woken in his daze, he believed he saw 3 glowing figures approach him with an amazing message to give. They claimed to be messengers from on high, and that the big boss up top chose him and his people to inherit the entire world, so long as his seed continued to serve the off-planet master. But what Abram saw and heard was an elaborate trick, a virtual reality hologram, to the viewer, a perfect superhuman entity. Indeed, their origins were, quote, on high, unquote, meaning the realm of extraterrestrial space, the planets of the solar system which are inorganic, apart from the Earth. This was the work and highest accomplishment of the Archons, posing as angelic figures. The Archons could travel freely within the solar system, but one planet proved difficult to breach. Earth is unique in the solar system for countless reasons. Her biosphere is repellent to the inorganic Archons, but they could briefly project their presence in holographic visitations. This time, they were able to accomplish even more. They inserted a microscopic infection of parasites, nanobots, you might say, that combined with aphid milk that was abundant in the grove where Abram and his men were stunned. The fluidic parasite entered Abram's body through the ear canals. They rewired his neurochemistry, as the parasite toxoplasmosis is known to do. And from then on, he could hear the Archon speaking directly to his skull. He believed it was the voice of God. Their instructions for him were many: to circumcise all the men in his tribe as to disrupt their sense of manhood, to sacrifice his son to prove his loyalty to God above anyone else, to go forth and conquer the land of Canaan. All this and more constituted a covenant with God. In truth, a pact with the Archons. Their presence on Earth has never before been so influential. The real influenza. The Archontic infection.